Welcome to Pass Microsoft Tests and Get Certified. The focus of this course is to teach you the very best way you can pass Microsoft tests so that you can get certified, and preferably the first time that you take the exam. Now, we all know that certifications get you more money in your salary. Certifications are how you prove your skill set to the community. So it's in your interest to get certified. But the tests are very difficult. Often you may find that you need to retake an exam multiple times. Many students even take exams multiple times and begin to worry that they will have exhausted their retake for the year. Why do students fail exams? A lot of times it's poor study habits. They write down way too much information, and the information is not stored in a way that's efficient. So in reading exam questions, they have way too much information that they're bringing into that question that are not relevant to what's going on in the exam. Particularly practical real-life experience is not going to help you to pass an exam. It's important at the outset to understand these questions really don't have anything to do with real life. They're based on an artificial exam scenario. So bringing in skills that you've learned in real life, which may often work well in practice, are not going to help you on the test. Students get puzzled. They're looking at all this information. How do I memorize all of it? And then, how do I use it in a stressful exam situation? And so you get tired and discouraged, and that's one of the most important things you want to avoid. Exams are psychological tests. Once you get depressed and discouraged, it's unlikely you're going to sign up to take that exam, and then you have probably the least optimal attitude for actually taking the test itself. A big reason why students don't do well on the exam is a lack of test-taking skills. When you go into a Microsoft exam, there's a particular format to how the questions are written, regardless of what type of question you're facing. There are real skills that you can master in this course that will dramatically improve your score on a multiple choice exam, or even on questions that have been written specifically for these technical tests. Here's a non-technical question that I've made up, and I tell all my students to sort of demonstrate the problem with particularly Microsoft questions. Listen carefully, see if you can get the answer. There's a kitchen. The kitchen is painted yellow and blue. In the kitchen are 3 drawers. In the first drawer are forks. In the second drawer are knives. In the third drawer are spoons. How would you use a pizza cutter? You might be laughing. So here we've got a lot of information, but it doesn't really relate to the question, and that's fairly common in Microsoft exams. Other vendors may be as wordy or may be more succinct and to the point. In my answer, I'm going to get 4 choices. 2 of those choices are what I like to call the crack smoking answers. And I joke with my students, these are the answers where I feel like I'd have to be smoking crack to choose that answer. These are the 2 easiest answers to eliminate, which is always what we're looking for. The very first question you should be asking yourself about any technical test question is, what can I get rid of? So for example, there might be an answer that says, there's no such thing as pizza. Well, you would never choose that. It doesn't make any sense. Maybe there's an answer that says pizza should not be cut. Again, irrelevant to our question, which is asking us how to use a pizza cutter. Of the 2 that are left, one would be the way you would do it in real life, and the other would be the right answer. So this is why experience often doesn't help you. You're not to give an answer that works. You need to give the answer for best practice as designed by TechNet. Let's take a look at another common problem with technical IT questions. This is the one I like. If a plane crashes on the border of the United States and Canada, where do they bury the survivors? This is an old joke. Well, the joke is, you don't bury survivors, they survived. But most people will see the plane crashed, the border of the 2 countries, and then where do you bury? I personally have ADD, attention deficit disorder. I would never get to the word survivors. I'm picking up my information at the beginning of the question. In reality, you need to pay attention to the ends of the question. That's generally where the most important information is. If the erroneous information or the information at the top of the question does provide clues, they're clues that should be used to help you eliminate answers that look good. The one thing that you have going for you in all of these questions, regardless of the vendor, they feel that they have provided enough information that if there are plausible answers that are incorrect, you should be able to eliminate those answers based on the information provided. Part of being an effective test taker comes from having good study habits. The second section of this course has 2 very short videos on how to study efficiently. One that talks about learning the grammar of the software, and the other that talks about translating technical terms into plain English. As short as those 2 videos are, they're very important. Having a good knowledge pool is key to being able to effectively answer questions on the exam. So even though there's a lot of funny slides and they're very short, please don't neglect these two videos. The third lecture in the second section is called Beware of Brain Dumps. We actually talk about much more in this audio lecture. Not only brain dumps, but test prep and attitude. It's a little bit long for a lecture. Udemy recommends lectures stay between 2 to 15 minutes. This is a 30-minute lecture. Carve out some time where you can listen to what I'm saying. Try to keep it as entertaining as I can. This is going to change your attitude towards how you take the test. You may not know it, but as far as I understand, and this may not be accurate, the department inside Microsoft that handles testing is actually a subset of the marketing department. One of the things you really want to understand is that testing you is not about making sure that you're going to be a good network admin. There's really two goals in my mind. One is to make sure you're a good salesperson for the software. Well, that means that you need to know about the new features and how it works. So if somebody asks you to recommend a feature, you'll have that information available and can recommend something new, which then might lead them to implementing new products or upgrading their software. The other thing is you shouldn't make the company look bad when you go out to work on the machine. So anything that's a common problem or easily confused tend to be fair game for the exam. So listening to this lecture, hopefully I gave you some insight into what your attitude should be as you go into the exam, which I found for me made a profound difference in my life when I came to these realizations. So a little bit long audio lecture, definitely worth listening to. It's possible to move to the next section and skip this lecture, but I really think it's worth your while, and I think it will open up your worldview on test taking in general. After section 2, there will be 3 different sections on DNS. These are all fairly short lectures, but I can't show you test taking techniques without a knowledge pool that we both agree on. What you want to do is go through these 3 sections using your new study habits to come up with the most streamlined information in your head. There's guidance throughout because not only is there a lecture on each part of DNS, but then at the end of the section there are notes as to what I would have taken and written down as the most important information. To make the best use of these 3 middle sections, I would take your own notes and then compare them to the notes that I provided. That way, you'll begin to get an understanding of what you're doing in your note-taking or learning process that may or may not be effective. The final documents that list what I've taken out of the lecture for all 3 sections comprise what I consider to be the knowledge pool for all of the sample questions that we look at in the next section where we study test-taking skills. First we'll look at general strategy, and that's actually been broken down to the strategy itself and then the sample exam. We'll go through a technique that I call alibying suspects. It's very important to read vertically. We have an entire lecture devoted to that. Then we move into some of the specific methods. Divide and conquer, what I call the pre-algebra method, and we'll look at Sesame Street answers. We have a whole lecture devoted to command line questions, one for PowerShell questions, and one that covers just simply guessing answers in a methodical, intelligent way. Each of these particular techniques includes a discussion of the technique, which is fairly short, and then 5 sample questions. I repeat it in every video in case you skipped this particular video or you forgot. What I generally do is read the entire question to you and then all of the answers. After that, I give 5 seconds during which you're expected to pause the video and analyze the question on your own. Once you resume, we walk through the analysis of the question together. Pay attention to that. When I analyze a question, again, we're first going to say, what can I get rid of? So I'm going to talk you through why you get rid of some of the distractors or wrong answers. It's actually an important part. It's not about just knowing it. What I'm trying to show is how you're using that knowledge pool and test-taking techniques to get to the right answer in that question. Improving your score is going to help you to pass exams on the first time. And I can generally sit with almost any Microsoft or IT student that's taking these types of tests and bring them up, on Microsoft anyway, a good 100 points, which is often make or break in terms of passing your test. The test-taking techniques really help. And I have testimony from hundreds, if not thousands, of students now saying that that was a component of the course that I taught them that nobody else ever taught them before that was really valuable. So I hope this course can do the same for you in terms of refining your test-taking skills and letting you be more confident and more successful in passing tests, and better yet, passing them the first time. I hope you enjoy the course. Have a wonderful time. Please don't skip study habits or any of the DNS information. And if you have any questions or comments or need any help, please feel free to contact me, and I'll be happy to provide any information that you need that might not be in the course itself. Good luck and have fun.